Sometimes South by Southwest does indeed work the way South by Southwest is supposed to work. Case in point, Bodega. The Brooklyn art punk quintet, to be confused neither with the late-great Toronto indie pop outfit nor the old Scottish folk troupe with whom it shares a name, had barely played outside New York City's 5 boroughs when it decamped to Austin this past March to give South by Southwest a taste of its smashing live show. A handful of gigs later and, yep, the mythical South by Southwest breakout was happening. BR so far seems to be a medium best suited to documentary, thus the video, a simulacrum of a typical night at our favorite Brooklyn venue, Alphaville. Some audience members scroll on their phones, others half listen, waiting to play, and those with light to spread join the show. The future in low fidelity. Listen with your eyes, look where you want. If you're looking for that act that everyone will rave about when the fest is over, I have a feeling this might be the one, mused Austin Town Hall at the time. NME, rightfully awestruck by the band's Saturday night gig at Cheer Up Charlie's, praised Bodega as the best band you will see anywhere at South by Southwest 2018. Hands down. This writer right here called the band this year's most prized South by Southwest discovery, and was so completely smitten after catching them on the Saturday afternoon of the festival that I went back for a second taste at Cheer Up Charlie's later that evening, dragging one of the 2 promoters now bringing them to the Rivoli in Toronto on Saturday, June 16th, during the North by Northeast Festival. I hadn't even left Austin before emails were being exchanged and offers being made. Bodega has that effect on people. If there's a turn of phrase we kind of detest here at the deli, it's taking the scene by storm, sighed New York's The Deli magazine recently, Bodega proudly adorning its cover. Brooklyn's Bodega are taking the NYC scene by storm. It's really flattering, says guitarist-vocalist Ben Hosey, who shares most of the writing duties in Bodega with vocalist, percussionist, electronics overseer and general rabble-rouser Nicky Belfiglio. But he doesn't do any gloating beyond that because, frankly, that would be most unlike Bodega, which began in part, initially as another combo called Bodega Bay that also featured Hosey and Belfiglio, as a reaction against bands taking themselves way too seriously. Article continued below. One of the ideas that we carried over from the last band was just to sort of critique what we were doing, he says. In the beginning, it was kind of rock music about rock music. That was definitely our last band, and we wanted to keep that same critical mentality but apply it less to, like, genre tropes and more to ourselves and the community around us. The band was kind of meant to point out the hypocrisies of ourselves and what it means to be playing music in New York in 2018. Also, to kind of poke fun at the holiness of DIY. I feel like so many people I've come across playing in bands over the last few years think what they're doing is really important, and that kind of smug attitude always rubbed me the wrong way. A large part of Bodega's charm, beyond spiky, shouty agate punk anthems that bring to mind a pogoing fusion of crowd rock, Gang of Four and La Tigra, is that its barbed takedowns of consumer culture and our dependence on technology come charged with a snarky sense of humor. As Hosey puts it, comedy is the funniest when it's true. You certainly don't feel like you're being lectured or hectored while listening to the band's forthcoming debut album, Endless Scroll. Even if the uncommonly brainy album's basic message overall is a challenge to shake yourself out of your complacency and ask yourself why you do the programmatic things you do. And if you wait around long enough, a song about masturbation or Jack and Titanic will come around to liven the mood eventually. In this particular city, but also in all of America right now, there's a certain kind of politeness that people are subscribing to that you can't get around, says Belfiglio. You can't say your opinion without people coming at you for being mean. They're prescribing this kind of politeness upon you, and we're kind of trying to break through that a little bit. Mostly we're talking about ourselves, anyway. So if the blame lands and you feel it, then look inward. But, ya know, it's self-critique and documentary as much as it is any kind of self-important lecture. I always thinking about essays, like the classic form of the essay where a good essay poses a really strong point of view but as an open-ended question, in a way, adds Hosey. Quote, here's this topic. I think X, but I can also see Y is valid, and then it all kind of ends with a big question mark. I think our best songs tend to have that similar strategy. Bodega plays the Rivoli on June 16, Murtka Foroglu, with Endless Scroll officially landing on July 6. Bodega has the perfect excuse to take that much buzzed about live show, whose infectious boisterousness is effectively captured in the 360-degree video for How Did This Happen, as far and wide as possible. I think we're still very much a live band at this point, says Hosey, nevertheless concurring that being very much a live band didn't hurt when the band decided to record its debut album, live. Article continued below, we've been working on those songs for a year or two or something like that, but the recording actually happened really fast, in 4 days. We recorded it all to tape and played everything live on an 8-track Tascam thing, so we couldn't really do any edits of the playing. It just had to be what it was. Obviously, we dubbed all the singing so we could get the singing right, but it happened really fast. It was the sort of record making that's kind of like making a documentary. You're creating a world and just capturing what the band sounds like.